Yo! What's good, y'all? How y'all doing? It's Friday. Feedback Friday. Everybody's favorite day of the week. We get to listen to you. How y'all doing? Let's see who's here. Saffron's here. Hey, Saf. Great Computers here. Welcome in. Imbue! Happy Friday. Welcome back, homie. Busty's Catbot. Happy Friday. Hope we can cheer you up this morning. Sorry you got into a dumb Discord argument. Stuff happens. Speak Melon! Happy Friday to you. Blazing Beats, yo, yo! How are things, man? How are things? American Josh, dude. Happy Feedback Friday to you. Bantatum. Welcome in. Greetings from Portland. Good to hear you tuning in from Germany. Josh, I'm doing all right. Trying to get used to the new schedule here. Not seeing you guys during the week. Only getting these Feedback Fridays. It's a weird, eclectic little mix I made this morning, right? It's weird. Blazing Beats is feeling a little Seussian this morning. I detect some Dr. Seuss in your response. Things are things, be they persons, places, or things. That's also kind of Pooh-ish, isn't it? A kind of Pooh Bear. The Tao of Pooh, if you will. Catbot saying, I'm out here exporting my feedback track like a last-minute exam. Josh is saying, we're here for whatever you give us. Well, today we're going to give you a whole bunch of you guys. We're going to listen to what you guys have made this week. And I will try to mention this at least 3 times during the stream. There will be no stream next week. We're going camping, so got to get out while the sun is out, but before the scorching sun arrives. So that's next week. So no Feedback Friday next week. We'll be out in the woods camping. Sounds like the rantings of a total smartass. Yeah, I don't think I have any other announcements other than been missing the regular streams. But we shall cruise through this summer. Let's see who is got stuff in the public feedback queue already. Ooh, Blazen's working on something right now. Very nice. Imbue! How you doing? How you doing? Always good to see you. You know, I'm not sure if Tomba has been able to make the Friday streams recently. I've been noticing that the posts have been going up pre-Fridays. So I kind of want to kick things off with Tomba's track and then slip into Imbue here. For those keeping track of the morning soup here, this is a modular rack. It's called Sylvan. It's not going to sound like this when you download it, but you can download it from the Reaktor user library. This one is called Sine Beats 2. And this is, gosh, I'm not even sure. Reaktor 2 library? Reaktor 3 library? I'm not sure. It's pretty old. It's pretty old. And then this guy, EXO, is just pulling up various samples from my drive and putting them into this little rhythm right here. Very simple. You too can make this. All right, let me pull up a notepad here. I'm going to turn off this noise in the background. Lovely. So let's listen to Tomba first. Kick things off. Danny's here. Yo! I'm Imaginate in the chat. Everybody follow Danny. Danny was just recently interviewed by Splice. If you want to drop links in the chat, spam us a bit, Danny, you can totally do that. He was talking color base. You guys should absolutely check out that pack. It's really, really great. We Imaginate Glaze here. Happy Friday, homie. Always good to see you. Hope you're doing well over there, brother. All right, this is Tomba called Kill Them. Happy Friday, y'all.
Thomas, dieser Canonin is definitely a criminal. Kill them.
Well, that was quick. I was expecting a little bit more than this. Some dark stuff, Tomba. I want to hear like the last 10 seconds of this. So I like all of the sounds. I like the picture you're painting here. The kick, I think, needs some fuel. It needs like some edge around it. Maybe just a touch more than just saturation. Maybe actual distortion on this. Nothing to like shred it completely. But I think it needs to stand a bit more upright in the mix to stand alongside those screeches there. I think that's the next step on this one. Holy URL is right. Wow. Look at that. Megalink assemble. That's awesome. I don't know why that makes me laugh so much, but maybe it's because we live in this era of everyone shortening their links. Yeah, Catbot. I like that as well. Can't really place beat till the downbeat comes in. I hear it. Yeah. Danny's talking a lot about unconventional Foley and field recording and sound design in that article. You'll definitely want to click through to it. Maybe some more Kong frequencies. Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit of ape in that kick would feel good, I think. Oh, Catbot, you know what? The view count can never be counted on at all on Twitch. It's so wonky. It's just kind of how it goes. All right, Imbue. Let's listen to you. This one's called Villain. Virtual Riot reference. Gotcha. Yeah, Imbue, I like this. I like how that really simple sawtooth is just like tickling the ear throughout. Uh, Good stank face vibes in this. I want the bass to be a little bit more dimensional in a couple of spots. Like I love how you filtered down on that at one point, made it really skinny. But I think you can kind of do the opposite to that and kind of expand, embellish it in a couple of spots. And I think it would just be kind of like mind melting awesome in those spots. 208, maybe something layered with some of these kick hits to really drive some oomph, like get some real gravity and uh, yeah, just more grimy stank face, basically. And then there's this fill at 242, which is great. I want a fill there, but I want so much more of it. I can barely hear it, and I think it should just dominate that moment, like a. But maybe having something like damage or some kind of junkyard stuff, metal barrels, or broken cars or something layered in there. I think that'd be really nice. So basically, just some elements that can bring a little bit more oomph and gravity and impact to this, because there's just this raw kind of nastiness to this thing. And it won't take much, right? Like, definitely don't put more notes into that fill. Just amplify that fill, right? And accent it in with great metallic texture, maybe, right? Yeah, little overdrive across the entire thing, right? Catbot saying some industrial stuff. Yeah. Ooh, yeah, Chef Boyhard Beats, which is a fantastic handle, by the way. Big ups on that. Saying I was imagining that with some D&B drums, which would also be really nice. It's not nasty, it's villainous, says Catbot. Oh, good to hear. It is helpful. Glad to hear it vibes with you. Hope it helps make it even better. Blazing. Holy color spectrum, dude. Look at this image. The AI bot is like, okay, so we know it needs to go from red to blue for people to click on it because it's music. So look at this, though. Look at all these peaks. Some epicness ahead of us here. Yeah, Speak Melon. It is a great track. I enjoyed it very much. Yeah. All right, let's do this. This is Blazing Beats. Track is called Searching for Amelia. Yo, Blazin, this is really cool. There's some nuanced stuff things here. I want to type out one more thing. Okay. Um, you're right on the edge of some really, really neat things. You've got a lot of kind of cinematic moodiness in this. Um, so I think just like a few like really subtle changes here and there can really unlock this. First, this horn early on. If you just ever so slightly modulate the attack parameter, just kind of slowly and randomly over time, um, you'll get some cool organic delivery variations, right? It'll soften it in a couple of spots. It'll make it a little bit more pronounced in a couple of spots. And it'll make it feel just a little bit more organic. 118, I think the atmosphere can actually come down a great deal in this. I would start with like a good like 8 dB or so, maybe a bit more aggressive. Um, Also, remove the lowest frequencies from the percussion reverb. It's making the mix pretty muddy. I think a combination of the extra atmosphere presence and those low frequencies, once they get through that limiting, it just pushes them to a more unnatural state, and then that upsets the balance. So back off of both of those early in the mix. 158, I think there can be a small adjustment to this transition if you include a sub impact. Right there at the point of transition, I feel like it'd be a big emotional, stirring moment. 228, more bold in the frequencies that you remove in this build. So I think you can just cut away more in the build, and then that way, when the transition actually hits, it's going to feel even more impressive, I think. Also, there's just a lot happening frequency wise in that build, and there's a lot of reverb. Um, so I think that there is kind of a need to take away some of those frequencies and probably also some of that reverb so it starts to feel like it's just kind of being kind of sucked out, and then everything can be, big and bold again at that point of transition. 257, reverb mix down on the perks, less low end in them too. Just in general, I would go back and try to remove a bunch of low and mid-low frequencies in the percussion, atmospherics, and noise-based effects, and then specifically wrangle in the highs and lows of the reverb on all of the reverb channels. Make sure that you are allowing just whatever is going to be your main low-end presence, leaving that space open for just that thing, so when it hits, it really, really hits. Um, Also, and this is just an aside, um, explore using a pulse. I feel like it's one of the elements that could be brought over from the cinematic sound design realm, um, and slipped into your music very, very easily. And this could be, it could be acoustic, right, in the form of like a bass or something like that, or it could be something fully synthetic, entirely up to you. But I would play with it. It doesn't even have to be just one pulse. You could even play with using layered pulses if it's subtle, right? Just kind of keep in mind what frequency um, balance is doing to the overall mix at that point. Um, but I think it would bring a certain amount of tension that you would have control over, that can kind of carry throughout the track. So, all right. Um, I'm going to scroll back up and read through the rest of these comments here really quick. I just saw the one you were saying. I'm not going to lie, I was very, very high when I made this. All right. Sand looks like it's turning into clouds, says Catbot in that art. Yeah, it does, right? It's pretty awesome. Wednesday, I hope you found the Discord all right. The link is in the chat there. Catbot saying could add some filtering to that main horn and make it sweep a bit more as it hits. I agree. The comment about affecting the delivery of the horn, I think it carries over to that. Just allowing greater variation over time, and movement, I think, is going to add a feeling of just more dynamic. You know what I mean? Roku Size here. How you doing, homie? How you doing? Happy Friday to you. Always good to see you, brother. Speakmel is saying, really interesting build of cinematics with sort of cute sounds and tempo. The structure definitely took me somewhere unknown in a good way. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. I like where you're taking things lately. And you've got, I think, this kind of really linear growth on the, what's the right way to put this, the commercial value of this. People would want to use this, I do believe. NDMMA, American Josh Dude. It is you. This one is called The Genie. Let's listen. Oh, but first, this commercial.
I walked the sun for 1,000 years. I've seen a million faces, cried a billion tears, but I've never seen something quite like you. With one look, you break my heart in two. I am the genie, your wish is my command, but I'd rather be buried in the sand than I wouldn't have to feel all this pain. It's enough to make a god insane. Power flows from my voice and my hands. You recognize but don't understand. Without a choice, riding on the vine. You hear my voice, but I can't make you mine. I am the genie, but I've no more wishes for you. You had your time, but your time is through. Yeah, there was magic for me than you. So cast away across the blue. Power flows from my voice and my hands. You recognize but don't understand. Yeah.
Okay. Dude, I think this is just great. I think the keys should probably come forward. I would duck them a bit when the vocals are hitting, but I would let them drive the funk. It feels kind of weird to have them tucked in back when they're just so like lively, you know? Great vocal delivery, of course. I think the guitar can use some saturation and perhaps a little amp modeling just to bring a little bit more live appeal to it. Everything else feels like it's got such a real, like captured in the moment kind of recording to it. But the guitar, and this is just a problem with guitar in general, it's really hard to capture that. So bringing a little bit of that back in the DAW, I think, is probably going to help. Something with just a little bit of air to it. If you've got Guitar Rig, that will make this easy, or a similar plugin. Really, really great groove. It's got a really highly infectious thing happening. I know I've related it to Allman Brothers in the past, but I can't help do that. I don't normally like relating or comparing. But dang. All right, want a little bit more presence on the drums around fills and fancy footwork moments. There's just some really great stuff, right? There are a couple little bell dings on the ride that, like, if those were to come up just a little bit. So I know that this is kind of nitpicky, meticulous stuff, but these are the kind of things, right, that you hope to hear or catch a glimpse of from a live recording, right? It's just like the way that that stick bounced off the metal off that one hit, right? And it just resonates so well. So the way that you can capture a lot of that is by adding a little bit of overdrive to the drums. You don't need to drive it to the point where it starts to sound gritty or anything, but it's definitely going to help kind of spark some more harmonics and help those things shine a little bit more in the mix. I think that'll probably help you set kind of a benchmark for where the guitar needs to get to in kind of liveliness. And then again, get those keys up front, I think. I think that'll feel really good. Let's see what people in the chat are saying right now. Man, yeah, people are digging this. Whoa, Synthra made the switch to Ableton today. Hey, congrats. How's it going for you? So you're great. That's awesome. The assimilation begins. Oh, Speakmel is saying that outro was fire. Yeah, and people are blown away by the vocals in this. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I think just to round out the feedback here, Josh, I think similar to what I've said in previous tracks that you've brought through, I'd love just to hear this finished with some really nice saturation, a couple passes, really, honestly. Um, You know, if this was taken to a studio, they would send it through several different units and barely do anything in those units. And really what they're doing is they're just warming up the signal again and again and again, which is like low level saturation. And you can do the same thing in a DAW, right? Like you can stack some overdrives, or I recommend grabbing something with really good like circuitry emulation, because that's really what you're paying for when you're buying good distortion plugins and whatnot, is the circuitry emulation. Yeah, just that finishing touch. Speak Melon, it is you. Speak Melon saying, happy Friday. Did a remaster a while back of an old EDM track I made in 2015. It was interesting to hear my mastering progression and would love some feedback because I still have a lot to learn. Okay, hey, this is great. Let's check this out. Rokusai saying Trash 2 for the win. That is, it's tough to beat. It's tough to beat. Some really, really good distortion. Heyo, Josh is saying, I love this music talk. It's like listening to my wife talk about physics. I'm learning very slowly. You know, it's good to learn slowly. I really do believe that. Like, I also believe it's great to jump in quickly and experiment and play. and not know exactly what you're doing. But it really is good to learn slowly because it means that you're like absorbing and applying, and it's all relevant. You know what I mean? All right, let's listen to what is this? Feroy? Feroy? Let's go. Move slowly and do not break things. Maybe. I mean, or rock and roll, you know. All right, here we go. Ups, honestly. And I think that what I'm hearing mostly that I feel would be improvements are mix related. They're not necessarily mastering related. I think you've done a pretty good job. There are just a couple little things like at 49 seconds, there's this formant synth that's kind of vocally, it's lower register. It's on the right hand side of the mix. It can come up in the mix, and then that would then pop after that mastering just a little bit better. I think around 250, you can play with the amount of reverb that you have here. It's big, it's open. In the mix right now, it's open, so you can do that. But I also think that you can also kind of play with how much reverb is in there. Might as well. You have the space to do it. It'll call more attention to it, right? So again, that's like a mix thing. There's just tiny little balance or presence type things. And I think that we're probably going to have our ears drawn to them even more, with greater clarity coming from the mastering, right? So you're at that point now where you touch something over here and you might need to go back and touch a couple things over here. It won't go on forever. There's going to be a point at which you start to suss out exactly what kind of stopping points you actually need rather than what you're guessing at right now. Right? It takes going through it a bunch of times. But you'll get your footing very quickly. This is really good. Let's see here. Catbot says, off topic, but I'm curious, who also drinks energy drinks here? Oh boy, I sure do love battery acid. Original and rehab are my favorites. Lithium. You're also taking lithium right now. How does the lithium interact with the various energy drinks? An ultra enjoyer when it comes to Monster, but they're a fallback rather than the default, huh? Awesome. This makes me so happy to hear. Reverb is still my greatest friend and my greatest enemy, but I'm getting there. Hey, Speakmill, and I really do think that, like, you really have had just a bunch of different level ups. The thing about Reverb is that it's a little bit different in how you're going to kind of find your bearings with it. I would really recommend making bold changes when you're trying to find your footing with Reverb in a mix. So instead of making a change of like 2 dB or 5% wet dry balance or whatever, make a much more bold change, like 10 dB or 15, 20% wet dry. And that'll give you kind of a shocking response, right? Like something to really have a reaction to. And then you can gauge, you might have a better perception of just how much distance there is between you and your ideal, or where you are currently and where your ideal is. So Vicky, welcome in. Hello, hello. Happy Friday to you. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, energy drinks as a kid. Yeah, nuts indeed, right? Oh my goodness. Catbot. Wow. Physical seizures. Wow, that's intense. That's intense. That's like some scary stuff right there. Go bold or go italic. Yes. Well, it's just a really good way to register with yourself a really honest response from something that you're auditioning in your mix. You know what I mean? Kind of forces you to have a reaction, I guess is a good way to say it. All right, this one is Glaze Blaster, and it's coming to us from the Great Computer. Let's listen. Yo, yeah, I like how you end this too with this little kick drum kind of resolving after the synth. I like that. Beaky saying, I'm staying up late tonight just for this. Yeah, this is good. This pulse is cool in the intro. I feel like I hear the filter modulation in the end. I feel like it'd be great to have more change happening to it in the beginning where we can hear subtle changes. It doesn't have to be bold by any means, but in that kind of lean in moment where we can hear more detail in it. 119, this pluck synth that kind of morphs over time is super cool, and it kind of wants the mix to have a little bit more room available in the mid lows. There's this kind of thickness. I think part of it is from the kick, but I also think that part of it is just a matter of a few elements in the mid range having a little mid low buildup. So scooping a little bit out of a couple elements in your mix between like 250 and 350 would probably help that. And then I think that there's also just maybe a little bit too much low end presence in some of the reverb. So if you tap all of those down just a little bit, all of those really subtle changes will add up, and it'll save you a whole bunch of frequency room in that shared space there. At 210, kind of wanting a subtle whoosh there that can hang in the air for a moment after the transition, just to kind of help us stay tethered to that moment for just a hair longer. 230, I feel like there's room for like maybe a dialogue sample or something as we come out of this section and back up into the full mix. Maybe not a dialogue sample, but it feels like there could be another element in there that's fairly engaging, and really aligned with what's happening in that moment right there, mix-wise. 350, the modulation on the bass is great right here. It's very lively. It's very interesting. At 410-ish, I didn't get the timestamp exactly, but around that mark, there felt like there was a small little hitch in the beat. Oh, Catbot. You're right. You're pointing out that Dropbox links can actually expose your name, which is true. That's true. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I hope this all makes sense. Vibes with you. Helps you make it even better. Let's check out what's next. Catbot. Boom! Remix of an old Excision track. One of my favorites that I feel like deserves an update to the drop. Okay. This is Neck Brace. Oh, you want a thread? Hold on just one sec here. There you go. All right. This is Neck Brace. Velvet Goat Cheese is here. Welcome in. Happy Friday. All right, Catbot. Solid intro. I feel like I want the vocal up on top of the mix just a little bit more. Really great modulation work throughout here. I think getting some active automation to align with those changes happening will help you put a spotlight on the juiciest parts. Like just put put something simple like an overdrive or one of your favorite saturation plugs on that bass and just sit there, Johnny on the spot, listen back to this and write to an automation lane and just hold that drive knob in your hand. And every time you get a little excited about what's happening there with the bass, you respond in real time with that knob, right? Now, what you can do afterwards is take that whole recording, select the entire thing, and then just drag everything back just a hair, right? And that'll give you the super snappy responsiveness that you're really desiring, right? So your response to that inspiring moment with that active modulation happening on that bass, right? That's going to happen just a split second after that peak, right? So that small nudge is going to help you align your peak with the peak in the modulation. And then what's going to happen is all those moments of kind of depth peak, if you will, in those modulation cycles, those are going to feel like truly accented. It's usually how you can get your stuff to pop the best in those really, really active moments. 236, I think this moment is a bit tough for ear fatigue, just due to compressed bass signals. So I would suggest doing some batch processing to avoid shoving the lowest frequencies in our face the whole time, right? Because we're limiting those the same way that we're limiting other frequencies, right? And just driving them to these more unnatural volume levels. And just having that much low end constantly is just fatiguing. And also when there's a whole bunch of stuff popping off at the same time, it can be extra fatiguing, especially if there's some highs that are being sustained at the same time. It kind of splits the ears in a weird way. Makes them not want to tune in quite as much. So really awesome track, really good stuff. Transitions were great. Really good energy, good up energy, good stuff. Yeah. Gantz. Vantadum? That's you. How do I say this name, though? I don't want to butcher it, and I know that I am right now, so help me out. Vantadom. All right, here we go. I said it right. Hey, okay. Well then, here we go. All right. Watch the resonance in the pad and the airy vocal layer. At 58 seconds, I feel like this could use a little transition support there, even if it's just a tiny little reversal. The hi-hat work is really solid, but the open hi-hat on the left, it feels a little out front from the rest of the stuff, a little separate from the rest of the stuff. I think it needs to come down and maybe in just a little bit. I think having it so far away from the rest of the hats feels just a little bit awkward. I like the clunkiness of it. I like that it's so grabbing for the ears, but I think it's a fair bit of distance to travel from here to here. There's this tiny little pulsing synth at 218. I feel like it can be moved a bit more away from center. Maybe even roam around the stereo field just a little bit. Like if you just put it on a tremolo, zero out the phase, just let it work as an auto pan, and let it kind of move back and forth a little bit, maybe on a slow clip, something like that. I think that might feel nice. Kwame! How you doing, homie? Yeah, green screen and stuff. I've been doing more videos for Ghost Hack lately, and I didn't want all the room stuff in the background in those videos, so it's been just kind of chilling out here. Yeah, you bet. I hope this all vibes well with you, helps you make it even better. You're good. Excellent. New job. Settling in. Ooh. Tell me more. Well, you can shoot me a DM and let me know if you want. You don't have to share it all. Like, well, you don't have to share it with me at all, but I'm curious. New routines are progressing. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, you already wrote this down. Excellent. Great. Okay. Well, good stuff. Definitely bring back more, or bring by more in the future. I'd love to hear more from you. Scruffy Rico. How you doing, Rich? Hope you're doing all right. This is called Of All Things. Awesome, Kwame. It's good to see you, homie. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Bantadom, good stuff, homie. Hope to hear more from you soon. All right, this is Of All Things from Scruffy Rico. STP, right? Well, hopefully I'll help him sidestep some of the issues that Pharrell has encountered. Rich, this is fantastic. I love this. This is well, it feels great. It feels super complete. And if you were here live in the channel right now, you'd probably be saying something like, "Well, it hasn't been mixed yet." Love how the keys and the field recording are just like immediately right there. Fantastic early atmosphere. Love the frequency control in this. It's just so good. So lovely. The only thing that I'm hearing in here right now that I want differently is the pad piano reverb decay. I feel like it can be shortened slightly so it can get out of its own way a little bit quicker. It just hangs just a little bit too long, I think. And then also just a gentle shelf to reduce the lowest frequency slightly in that reverb channel too, I think. Just absolutely lovely stuff. That's a good point, Catbot. That's a good point. See, love how you guys are always looking out for each other here. Let's find it. All right. Rich, that was lovely. So good. When are we going to get an album? And do we have updates on the ambient project and how people can contribute and get involved in that with you? I'd love to hear what kind of updates we have for that. This one is from Max Mora, Stigma. This one's Beyond the Deepest. Look at this art. Goodness. All right, let's roll. The slow fade. Some good comments in the chat here for this one. All right, I think this opening is nice. It's got some feels. And I think before the full snare comes in, when it's just that little filtered guy, still around 1 minute, I think it can come up just a touch with just a slight accent on the highs and the reverb on it as well. I think it'd kind of help lift it just a touch in the mix. 220, the background arps are lovely. They're just kind of cascading arps, and I think you might want to help them be heard a little bit shortly before the main arp appears. Just a little dynamic change over time to bring them into the fold a bit more. This feels like a soundtrack, by the way. Okay, so at 3:33 or so, this thing changes. It feels a little abrupt. It feels kind of like the song is trying to end, and I feel like we kind of need to address this because then it comes back, and then we go into a slow fade. I'm not certain why, and if I saw Catbot making a comment in the chat saying it sounds like the song is trying to end right now. And I agreed. So I think that if you add another element there to help, like maybe it could be something bright and shiny, like some chimes, or maybe it can be something low and stirring, like a deep synth swell layered with some strings or something. But one or the other, maybe something that could help kind of bridge that gap of presence that's occurring right there and help us feel like this is part of the continuum. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Catbot saying even just an impact at 3:33, so it doesn't go down into complete silence. Yeah, it could be one of a few different things. But I do feel like you should probably address it because it feels just a little out of sorts there. Not saying that it needs to change there or anything, or like end there or anything, but I definitely think you should zoom in and take a look. All right, so Synthra was saying earlier that they have just switched to Ableton. And so they're sharing the first Ableton project here. Right, you've just dug your head out of the DAW and you're back. Excellent. Just in the nick of time. Oh. All right. I am going to put this into a thread really quick for Max because I'm not sure they're here in this moment. All right, so this one is Synthra. Saying my first Ableton project, this is a bit of a work in progress and will get expanded on with more layers and textures. One thing I'm struggling with is to get the piano in the right place in the mix, in the drop, where it's loud enough to give emotional impact, but not so loud it's overbearing. Anyway, hope you like it. All right, this one's called Iridescent. Yo, Synthra, this is dope. This is awesome for your first Ableton project. I really like this. It has a sense of like something stirring in the beginning, and I can definitely feel like the energy of working in a new tool in this vibe here. Absolutely. The pitch bend in the end is great, says Catbot. Yeah. Actually, just a saw wave that's been post-processed weirdly. That's nice. You gotta love it when it's simple and it pokes through is really interesting. Dude, this is great. I want to hear so much more from you with this like fresh new energy. It's good to hear that Ableton is treating you well. Generally, mix-wise, I hear you, what you're saying. This is work in progress and it's going to be expanded with more layers and textures. I'm really looking forward to hearing what kind of saturation you lay over the top of this thing. Like as a finishing agent, I'm hearing already just like a ton of texture in here. And I'm wondering what the string is. It feels like it's got some... Are you saying that the fiddle sounding thing is just a saw wave? Or that the Reese is just a saw wave? I'm wondering what the string is. It's got a really nice texture to it. It brings this kind of organic flair. It's pretty awesome. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'm using a lot of words to say it's awesome. The pre-drop fill is a cello. The melody in the second half of the drop is a saw wave. Okay. Reese's standard Reese. Okay. Now I'm up to date. Yeah, dude, Cynthia, this is fantastic. I want to hear more. I do. And also, I'm going to hit play on this thing over here. Give you guys a little bit of hold music. So I'm going to run to the bathroom, and I'll be right back. All right, I am back, and I realized as I was walking away that there was actually a specific question that you were looking to get answered in this, which was about the piano, right? I want to go back and listen to this for a couple of seconds and listen to this piano. Okay, I think what it is that it's sitting just a little bit too close to the bass and the kick. So right now it feels like it's just off center on the left. Move it further out and take out a little bit of the low end on it. It doesn't have to be with a cut, it could be with a shelf. But aim for around like 100 to 150 hertz and just bring it down like maybe 6 to 8 dB or something like that. And then turn up the volume of the track, let's say like a 5 dB to start or something like that, and see if we're sitting in the right spot. Move it like another 15 cents out, maybe 20, something like that. Hopefully that helps find a sweet spot for you. Yeah, move it further out in the stereo, because right now what's happening is it's being slightly obfuscated by the bass, and the kick is influencing a lot. But those two are in very close proximity to each other, and the piano is right there with them. So if you just move it away and cut out some of those shared frequencies that those other guys are occupying, it'll give you a little bit more separation. Great Computer saying, okay, as most great sounding tunes, it seems I should dig into Serum one time and others, but I have very low budget, and I feel like I should be able to get really good sounds from stock plugins. Like if I become really good at sound design, you can. And you can get great stuff out of just about any tool, the more you know about it. There are, of course, things to be said about the audio quality of certain tools and the capability of certain tools. And when it comes to synthesis, specifically, Serum's pretty great. Serum is pretty great. You can do some of what you can do in Serum and other tools, but it's going to be a bit more work, or it's not going to give you the same kinds of characteristics and qualities at every turn. So yeah, it really just kind of depends on exactly what you're actually going for overall, ideal sound-wise, and Serum is not required. It just depends on what exactly you're making and what you're wanting. Yeah, Vital is a good recommendation. It's quite similar to the last version of Serum. Rokusai is a great example of doing less with more, or doing more with less, and using a lot of stock plugins. I like using a lot of stock plugins. It's really good on the CPU. It also helps you maintain a great deal of control in what you're doing, because oftentimes if you reach beyond the stock plugins, the plugins that you end up reaching for include other things than what is actually necessary in that moment. So there's that. Synthra says Splice lets you rent to own Serum 2 for $10 a month, if that works for you. And I think they also allow you to pause payments, I think. Anyway, just a couple of bits of information there for you that can help. Vital, you can grab today, though. That's always a nice thing. Linux, or Linux. It's probably Linux. I think I did this last week too, didn't I? Linux saying, I don't have anything new to share at the moment, so I thought I'd post an old remix back from when I hadn't started mastering yet and barely knew anything about mixing. Despite lack of knowledge at that time, it's still one of my favorite tracks I worked on. Okay, now I love it when that happens. All right, this one's called Young Lean Agony. Yo, Linux, I think this is great, and I think you're right. It has a good balance to it, just kind of naturally. You're saying you hadn't even started mastering yet at this point, but I think that when you're working with the right set of sounds, they naturally kind of blend together, you know, like a rock band. The sounds are kind of staying in their own lane. You're not doing too much in the mix at any one point, so the sounds aren't really getting in each other's way. Um, Really nice hearing you play with just really simple modulation, opening the filter on the synth, letting us hear it more clearly. I do say, though, that if you're using a point and click automation, like just linear lines of change over time, I'd give those things some curves just to give us a little bit more of a organic kind of swelling in those moments. Um, it's funny, isn't it? How music that's like mixed less or touched less oftentimes translates as nostalgic, which I'm getting a lot of that from the track. I don't feel like it's just the genre. I would set the low end cutoff on this one to 50 hertz, 12 dB per octave curve. It doesn't need quite as much boominess in it. And I'd also bring the vocals up just a touch to sit on top. And I don't know that I would change the approach very much, mix master wise, because I do like this kind of loose, nostalgic kind of feel to it. It reminds me of some old school 80s stuff. It was kind of near and dear to me when I was younger, so kind of hits a soft spot in the heart, you know. Linux saying, I think this was my first time using automations. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Catbot saying some of Skrillex's old tracks literally don't have a sidechain. Yeah, well, I mean, sidechaining like that in a mix as like as an effect, basically, um, it wasn't as popular as it is now. It wasn't something that everyone was doing all the time on everything. For real. Wednesday. Let's see what you made. This one's called Jug My Grandma. It's at 160. Let's listen. Wednesday, I think the ARP and the sequence synth can both be maybe not up a bit more in the mix entirely, but I think they can have a little bit of volume automation. At some points, it feels like they could be up a little bit more. Towards the end, we can absolutely hear them very clearly. I think giving them a little bit more separation from each other and from the center of the mix would be good. So I'd set one a little bit further to the left. The one on the right feels like it's probably in a good spot now that I'm listening to it further through the track. But I would move the other one a little bit more to the left, see how that opens up the track for you. Then I think there's also just some general mixing, like some EQ mixing to do in here. I think that the elements that are occupying the middle of the mix are also operating in similar frequencies. So we need to be a little bit more bold in how we're managing those mid, low, and low frequencies. And just make sure that they're not stepping on each other is all. So the bass can get just a little bit more sidechain ducking from that kick, and when you move those ARPs out to the side a little bit more, you can shave off the lower frequencies on that just a smidge more. Anything that you can do to save on low end presence in this thing will help. And then make sure that there's only one element in the mix actually occupying or present with the lowest sub frequencies, right? So anything that is the 808, I'm assuming, is going to be your hero here. So anything that is above that register wise, shave off those lowest frequencies. Just take everything under 150 or everything under 100 out from underneath them to begin, and then whittle away from there. All right, let's see who's next. Key. Oh yeah, Catbot saying, I like how the skipping effect also does it for the effects, makes it feel a lot more tight and cohesive. Yeah, it's good stuff. Sadness, welcome in. All right, Vicky, it is you. All right, so this is remixed, remastered, final draft. This is a lossless vinyl rip from 1981 from the album Hotel San Vicente. All right, let's listen. This is Callaghan Dusta by Trans. Ooh. Oh. Ooh, yeah. Now that was nice. That was nice. It'll be interesting to see if we get a copyright on that or not. That was lovely. You know? That was lovely. Vicky, what inspired you to go back and remix and remaster this thing? It's great. This is fantastic. There's a couple of things. The sibilants are a little hot. So watch the S's, the T's, the crash cymbals. Those highs are being driven just a little bit. The mids, I feel like they could be boosted just a little bit. So if the highs came down and the mids got a little bit of a boost, a little less sub frequency. So use a shelf to tap that down around like 50 hertz or so. These are subtle changes. Just kind of tilt the mix just a little bit. But now I just want to play Katamari. Oh, man. Catbot says, now I just want to hear psytrance with jazz chords. Oh, man. Evil Twin. Evil Twin is here. Good twin, bad twin. On my mind. Work in progress. I like the art here for On My Mind. Hello. Let's roll. Oh, yeah. Yo, Evil Twin. I saw your comment about, yeah, but the vocal sample is actually just from a sample pack, so I can't really do much with it. But I would challenge you on that, and I would say you can. Here, let's just, where's a vocal? Let's just grab like a, where's this? Sure, this makes no sense as an example, so we'll use this. Give it a little bit of space here. But on this guy, I'm just gonna, let's just put like a, I don't know, I'll put Portal on it. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be just the one thing. It doesn't have to be the same thing. But it could just be something that gives it just a little bit of a tickle every once in a while. Right? So it's like, it's got this kind of thing on it. It's got this processing on it. Right? Something like that. Like it could be so simple and just like almost anything. But I would do something to it in just like a couple of spots. It doesn't have to be just consistently present on everything, but just a little call out in a couple of spots would probably feel really nice. Absolutely. Oh yeah, SDP saying you could create a parallel rack pan hard left right to automate. Yep. I'd also watch the LUFS on this. This thing feels really good throughout. The only thing I wish I could do with this is turn it up a little bit more. It doesn't look like there's a lot in the way of peaks and valleys here. Not that there needs to be, but it would be great to have just a little bit more room to push it a little bit louder. So if you were to make the average LUFS sit around neg 10 or so, right now it feels like it's going to be like neg 8, neg 6, something. Then I feel like it'd feel like I can turn this up just a little bit. It feels good. This whole thing feels really good. Good track. Definitely bring more. Okay, Mochiataki. Oh, wait a minute. Let's try that again. This is Assassino. You are welcome, Evil Twin. Hope it vibes with you. Okay, this is a really nice little excerpt from whatever you're working on over there. It's good. It's nice sneaky vibe. I love the mix. I think it's fantastic. I think your transition there was awesome. I'd watch the resonance kind of lurking in the pulse around 58 seconds. A little volume check-in on the guy at 115. A little synth that comes in there. But I am liking everything I'm hearing here. I want more. I don't want this to stop at however many seconds you gave us. What'd you give us? Minute 25? It felt like less. We need more. We need more. This was absolutely great. Yeah. Absolutely, we need more. 8 minutes at least. Yeah, everyone in the chat agrees. So, ooh man, okay. Sandus. Mochi saying, first whip from a 2-year break from the DAW. Well, I will tell you what, you came back and you nailed it. This is awesome. I want to hear this thing when it's done. Bring more. Bring more. Oh, that reminds me. I said I was going to say this at least a few times during the stream, and I only said it once so far. There's no feedback Friday next week. I'll be out in the woods camping, but we'll be back for the next week. So bring back more week after next. I'd love to hear more. This is really, really good. And welcome back to the DAW, by the way. I hope it was a good break. Bring back some Foley indeed, right? Yeah, yeah. We'll see what we record. All right. Sandness 2K. Let's do this. This is Terror, work in progress. Any ideas are welcome. Sadness. Yes, we need some katana. I think if we could hear just a katana just one time in there, maybe it's at the very end. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I feel like it's in there somewhere. Dude, the bass is everything. The bass is everything. A little less limiting. The drums feel like they're right up against my teeth in this one. It's a really, really, really good mix. Um, Man, I really like the use of reverb and space in this track. I love how you've got the like close proximity, intimate drums, and just this cavernous, like intimidating space for the bass. It's great. Unsheath the blade. Yes, yes, yes. Rokusai is saying, Omlab, but Chris, katana scabbard is made out of wood. It doesn't make the swoosh sound unless you are cutting your own fingers off and you hear the bones separating. Valid point. Then what do we need? We need like one of those 1,000-fold blades? What do we need? We need something that's got like a ring to it, right? It does feel like a sick intro to an EP or something, right? Yeah, it's got a nice cinematic quality to it. Solid. Solid. Yeah. Some head shaking bass in there. Wah, 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 wah. Ninja status. Choosing Sleep. Intro for a collaborative dark ambient album I'm part of. Yay! Made with a guitar and too many effects pedals. Yes. Transition into silence. Let's listen. All right. Choosing Sleep is fantastic. There's absolutely a great sense of suspension and time standing still or moving very, very slowly. There's this hint of foreboding darkness lurking under that wet collage, um, mostly just leaving us feeling like this sense of release, right? I do agree with Rokusai about dimension, about wanting to play with your time-based effects. The more separation you have there and the more variation you have, the more dimension will feel. So create more separation. Um, that's the one thing that I would agree with pretty strongly on this was it felt like it was one solid block instead of something that we could like slip between the different currents. And I think that once you kind of open it up in that way, this thing will be pretty transcending. Absolutely. Yeah, cool textures indeed. I agree with that. Be great in a space game, says Catbot. Distortion is super cool. Yeah, absolutely. Good comments in the chat on this one. People are digging it. Absolutely. Nariek. Merry Midsummer. How you doing, VWB? Happy heat wave, right? Yeah. Today, like, it can't quite make up its mind here in Portland. Yesterday was pretty warm. Today, it's like rainy and gray and kind of cold. Although now I see the clouds are actually clearing up. And then I think we're just going straight into heat wave next week. I think that's the trajectory that we are on right now. So happy heat wave indeed. All right, Nariak, this is melodic dubstep future bass, I guess. Let's listen. Yeah. Nariak saying was going to play around with a change in progression, but not figured anything that sells me just yet. Yeah. I think the timbre is what sells me on this one. I love it. I think I'd move the clap a bit away from the center. I'd move it to the right. I feel like it probably just kind of naturally lands there for me. Um, I don't really want you to change much on this one. It feels good all the way through. Um, but I'm hearing what STP is saying, separate the flute to create a call and response. I feel that. Yeah, the moving the clap, moving the flute, there's a couple things that I want separation. So I guess I'm seeking a little bit more depth and dimension in this, like wanting to be able to fall into it a bit more, which means there's probably like a bit of a desire for a little bit more dynamic range as well. But I kind of feel that anyway when you start mixing, the organic and inorganic in these types of genres. Honestly, I think that the dynamics is kind of what makes it all really, really work. Catbot saying, I think something that would emphasize the interesting notes of the scale would work really well. Yeah, it is on the fence of happy and sad. It is, yeah. Catbot saying, or just making the melody go higher and lower on certain notes of the second half. Yeah. I got you. W&B. Hey, before we listen to this one, just a quick reminder, there will be no Feedback Friday next week. No Feedback Friday. I'll be camping in the woods next Friday. Also, if you have not done it yet, here, let's just pull up YouTube and if you have not done it yet, go give a subscribe, a follow to the new YouTube channel. That is where you will find all of the VODs, all of the Twitch live stream archives going back several years are now over on YouTube and not on Twitch anymore. So go check that out. Also, if you've been missing tutorials from me and you want to start seeing those again, you can go hit the Ghost Hack channel, give a sub there. And leave lots of comments on the videos that you're seeing from me in regards to what you want to see in future tutorials, and we will get it added to the list. That's it for the announcements on the YouTube front. Back to the business at hand. WMB saying, I don't know, this is the only private work in progress track I got right now. File under Ho Anthem, kind of trying to deconstruct that electro pop sound, and so far without drums. All right, this one's called Stupid Riff. Catbot asking if you can do multiples. Yeah, if we got time. If you're wanting to put another one in there. All right, this one's Stupid Riff. All right, so this is like all over the place, and it's fun. It sounds like something skittering or something. Yeah, so I feel like if you're going to bring drums into this, that it should be without drums for a while so we can begin to appreciate what's happening. And then if there are drums, I kind of want something that's just like a little off so we can get kind of this polyrhythmic cyclic thing going on. Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe a 7/8 or something. I mean, maybe this is just too bonkers. It's definitely not something that um, uh, people will be in lockstep on. So might as well go full ham with it. I'm curious as to what direction you're wanting to go with it. The drums are a major point of contemplation. Some drumless trance guy. Yeah, it's tricky when you get this tricky with timing and like the perception of change in a standalone rhythm, and then how how that ends up being juxtaposed against a traditional beat, right? Which is why my mind immediately goes to something that's just a little bit off. Um, hmm. Or just a great deal of swing. Yeah, I'm very interested to know where you're going to end up taking this one, honestly. It would also be interesting to hear something else rhythmic in it that isn't drums, right? Like not drums in the traditional sense, but something else rhythmic. I'm not sure exactly what that would be. Here, I just want to hear just a few seconds of this again. Music Man, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in. Happy Friday to you. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the rhythmic sound would be, honestly. There's just a lot going on there. Thank you for the follow too. Hope you're having a good Friday over there. How was your break, or how was your stream? Amen break, says Catbot. Oh yeah. Amen break. Oh man. Velvet Gochi is saying, quick note, Music Man 0917 is a fantastic musician. Ooh, tell us more. You did catch us on the tail end of a Feedback Friday stream if you want to drop something in the feedback queue. All right, Kate of the Catbot saying, I might have sent this one before. I'm not sure. This one's called At the Edge. Let's listen.
Let me know what's on your shoulders. It can be pretty damn cathartic. Let me carry yours bolder. We'll be stronger than when we started. I'll meet you at the edge and keep you from falling. I'll grab your hand and keep your feet on the ground. As long as I'm near, I'll always keep calling your name, always keeping you safe and sound. Don't worry about your next step, and I'll keep your load light. I know your heart's in the right place. Just let me be your guide. Don't let it weigh on your mind, 'cause you know I'll be there by your side when we're at the edge. When we're at the edge. When you are trudging through the deep, I'll be right there to help you move your legs. When you don't wanna be awake, I'll stay up with you and help toughen. When you would rather be asleep, I'll be there to help you look ahead. When you have to wade through the lake, I'll dive in and help you let away.
Yo, Kata, in the first part of the song, the vocals are just lost in this one. I think you got to get them up on top of the mixer, really pushed back. And the compression is really squishing this, the mix into just kind of this tiny thing in a couple of spots. You can really hear it the most in the builds, right before the drops. Everything just gets kind of pushed down. Batch processing is really going to help this because you're going to avoid having that downward compression engage when those bigger low-end frequencies are building. And that's what's happening here. You just remove those from that processing chain and it'll release your mix. I think the loudness is actually fine. I'm sure. I think when turned up, I saw you saying you forgot to move the fader back up when bouncing. I think the mix sounds pretty good. I think it's just the compression that's hurting the mix, and it's when the signal strength of certain elements in the mix become too much and trigger the compression. And what's happening is the ratio is a bit too high, and it's holding it pretty steadily. It's not releasing because the signal strength is staying above that threshold point. So we just got to stop that. We just got to stop that because that's actively reducing the volume of everything in the mix when that happens, and it's reducing it by a ratio, right? So it's significant. So we just got to stop that. We got to figure out a way to use more upward compression instead of downward compression. So in these moments, everything feels like it's just going up and open instead of down. So everything feels like it's just building and building and building to like this kind of impossible height, right? This crescendo that just feels impossibly huge. I think that's kind of what you're going for here. Catbot says, honestly, I just hate that the vocals are AI generated. I wrote the lyrics, but I'm still almost like embarrassed that they're there. Well, if you don't want them there, then don't put them there. That's what I would say. If you like the lyrics that you wrote, then sing them out and then put it through a vocoder, and no one will ever know what your voice sounds like. It's just going to know what the vocoded signal sounds like. That's my advice for you. You can use pitch correction to fix whatever is abnormal about your singing in any way, and then vocode it, and it'll be great. It'll be great. It'll be great. Just do it. Never look back. Never question it. Just go for it. Just get into the moment. Go for it. Okay, no Feedback Friday stream next week. I've said it 4 times now. All right. I'll be camping in the woods next week, so no Feedback Friday next week. But I have enjoyed hearing everything that you guys brought this week, for sure. I've had a couple of people write me asking when will the Midnight Silence streams be happening. That's a really good question. I don't honestly know. It won't be this week, and it won't be next week. Next week's a bit chaotic with the camping trip and everything, but it might be the week when I come back, because I think I'm going to be, I'm going to have some pent-up creativity. So, Catbot, I only said it 3 times? There will be no feedback stream next Friday. No feedback stream next Friday. That's just the way that goes. All right. And on that note, don't forget, if you are currently subbed to the Twitch channel, the Twitch stream, you can grab free sounds on the Discord. Just make sure that your accounts are synced and you'll be granted access to these subscriber rewards. Also, don't forget to go hit the YouTube channel, the new YouTube channel. Give it a sub. Like what you find interest in to help the channel grow. And don't forget to hit the Ghost Hack channel if you're looking for more tutorials from me while you're missing me next week. All right, I'm going to come over here and kick the box and see who is up and doing their thing on Twitch right now. We've got... Oh. Fair number of folks. Feedback. We don't need more feedback right now, do we? Let's go have a party. Let's go say hi to our friends at E-Town. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Always good having a Feedback Friday with you guys. I'll miss you next week, but I cannot wait to hear you again the week after. We will finish the month in style, or kick off the new month in style, I guess is what it will be, right? All right, anyway, I appreciate you guys. Good tunes today. I'll see you on the flip. Let's go visit our friends at E-Town. Peace out, y'all.